Hello friends, welcome to my channel Explore with Joyeeta.
We all know that the first highest peak of the world is Mount Everest. The second highest peak is Godwin Austen, also known as K2, and the third highest peak is Kanchenjunga. Mount Everest is in Nepal, K2 is in Pakistan, and Kanchenjunga is located on the Indian-Nepal border. Every mountaineer dreams of conquering these Himalayan peaks. While about 800 people attempt to climb the main peak of the Himalayas, the Mount Everest, only 30 to 50 people attempt to climb Kanchenjunga, which is another Himalayan peak. Mount Everest was successfully climbed in 1953, K2 in the following year in 1954, and Kanchenjunga in the next year, that is 1955. English mountaineers Joe Brown and George Band scaled the Kanchenjunga for the first time as part of a British expedition in 1955. But unlike other peaks where the climbers touch the summit of the mountains, Joe Brown and George Band stopped 5 feet before and never touched the exact summit of Kanchenjunga. Even today, every climber or climbing groups that has reached the summit has followed this tradition of not touching the summit and stopping just 5 feet before it. The reason behind this has to do with the historical status of Kanchenjunga in the Sikkim. Kanchenjunga is situated in the eastern Himalayas on the border between the India state of Sikkim and eastern Nepal. Until 1852, it was assumed to be the highest mountain in the world. But in 1856, it was officially announced that Kanchenjunga is the third highest mountain in the world with an elevation of 8,586 meters. The mountain holds an important place in the mythology and religious ritual of the Sikkimis, who worship Kanchenjunga as their guardian deity. Scaling the mountain is therefore considered sacrilegious before 1975. Sikkim was an autonomous territory within the Republic of India and was being ruled by the Chogyal dynasty. To uphold the religious value that Kanchenjunga stood for, the Chogyal Maharaja would not allow any attempt to climb the mountain. However, Nepal had been permitting a few mountaineering expeditions and were willing to allow an attempt on Kanchenjunga from the west. Before 1954, the top two tallest mountain peaks in the world, Mount Everest and K2, had been scaled. Attempts to scale Kanchenjunga began in 1905, and throughout the years after, the several mountaineers attempted to scale it, but no one could reach the top. In 1955, a British expedition under the leadership of Sir Robert Charles Evans started preparing for scaling of Kanchenjunga. Sir Robert Evans was a British mountaineer with rich experience in scaling tallest peaks. Evans was the deputy leader of the 1933 British Mount Everest expedition and had come within 300 feet of the main summit of Everest, but was forced to turn back due to malfunctioning of the oxygen apparatus. The summit of Everest was later reached by his teammates Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Shortly before the team started their journey from England, the Kanchenjunga expedition members were told that the Sikkim government objected to any attempt at all to climb the mountain, even from Nepal. So Evans before the start of the trekking, went to Gangtok to visit the Diwan of Sikkim, with whom he reached a compromise that the expedition could go ahead provided that once they were sure of being able to reach the summit, they would not go any higher and they would not desecrate the vicinity of the summit. And so, with the promise, the expedition began their arduous ascent of the Kanchenjunga. After a month and a half, on 25 May 1955, the two members of the first assault party, Joey Brown and George Brand, reached 5 feet short of the summit, and as promised, they did not go up onto the summit itself. By 1925, Sikkim had lost its protectorate status and was further assimilated as a state within the Republic of India. With that, the authority of the Chogyal had diminished. Thus, permission was obtained to climb Kanchenjunga from the east, that is, from the Sikkimese side. On 31st May 1977, Major Prem Chand and Naik Nima Dorje Sherpa, part of an Indian army team, were the first climber in history to reach the summit from the Sikkimese side, and they too didn't touch the exact summit. Despite being shorter than Everest, Kanchenjunga is considered more difficult to scale. Its remote location, difficulty arranging for logistics, hard and difficult terrain have made it a more challenging peak to conquer. But for the Sikkimese people, the Kanchenjunga's isolation is a measure of spiritual value that the peak upholds. They prefer to worship it from afar rather than stepping on it.